We are live and we are going to talk today. Hi, Lynn. We're going to get you in here one of these weeks real soon. We're going to do a shared live with me and Tumbleweeds on Fire. And we're just going to talk. I don't know what we're going to talk about. He and I have to figure that out. And hopefully Felicia will join us. If you guys haven't seen Tumbleweeds on Fire, go to their channel. They are both hilarious. You know, the question is which one is more funny, Lynn or Felicia? So we're gonna vote on that someday. Good morning, Mrs. Paula, and good morning, Debbie Sue. I'm saying hi to people as I see them come through on my phone, but I can't guarantee that I'll do that throughout this whole thing. But I'm going to try to get right into it because my last couple of lives have gone over an hour, and I believe that you start on time and you end on time. That's how I roll. So, and I'm glad that everybody is saying hi to each other. Good morning, Rhonda. I am still watching, and I'm almost there. I'm almost there, Rhonda. I'll get through it today. So, and I have to tell you all a funny story. I had Rhonda playing on my TV yesterday, and my puppy was here, and my puppy saw Rhonda on the TV, and he was just cool. I mean, you should have seen the smile on his face when he saw Rhonda on the big screen TV. So that was interesting because sometimes he'll growl, you know, at either if he sees a dog on the TV or if he sees people he doesn't like. Like for some reason, he'll growl at some guy on a TV show, you know. And anyway, he looked up at Rhonda and he just smiled and laid right down. It was really cool. And so I had to tell that story on my live because I couldn't believe it when I saw it, you know, and it was yesterday. So I actually remembered it. See, when you get to be my age, stuff doesn't go in your memory for as long as you wanted it to. But this is a very special live for me. I got this live because, yes, Lynn, we're going to do it sometime soon. And we'll talk maybe over the weekend and see, you know, when you and Felicia are settled. But I want to do it soon. I don't want to put off us doing a live together like, you know, 2 months, 3 months and say, oh yeah, we said we were going to do it and we never did it. That's not me. I'm like ASAP is when I want to get things done. So, but that's how I roll in life, ASAP. So, I guess you all can see my shirt. I got this t-shirt and I don't wear it very often because it's starting to fade. As you can see, some of the letters are fading. When I graduated with my PhD and we were at the graduation and they were selling these in that little bookstore souvenir shop that they have at graduations, and I had to have it. I just and my the colors of my college where I graduated with my PhD are this red sort of color. I think it's red, white, and black. So anyway, this sort of matches that college. But I wanted to, and this goes with the topic of the live today, which is sacrifices. And so, oh, excellent. Lynn says that he's going to be houseless soon. And he and Felicia are selling their home and they're going to live in their Nomad RV full time. And it's not an RV, it's an Overlander. I keep mixing up the name. But hi, Julie. Good morning. Hi, Mike. Thank you for coming. And so, and Julie's another one that I will probably talk about today. I have God knows how many channels to talk about because today's topic is sacrifices. And as I started to tell the story, and then I get sidetracked because I want to say hi and talk to everybody in the chat. So, and Lynn says that an RV and an Overlander are the same thing, but I want to make sure that I'm not diminishing, you know, the accomplishment that he and Felicia have with that, you know. And so, anyway, I would go back to the topic of the live. We're going to try and stay on topic this morning. Will it happen with me? You never know. but we're going to try, right? So, what I'm learning on these lives is to just relax, take it easy, which, as you all know, when you first started seeing my lives, everything had to be, I had to read from the script. And because I was so terrified just to be looking at the camera and looking at myself that I couldn't relax. There was no relaxing. But we're going to talk about what people gave up. And everybody answered I have to start the poll question. See that? We're how far into this thing? 5 minutes, and I forgot to start the poll. And we're actually, last week, I actually ended the poll during the live. And that's like a first because I'm so excited or eager sort of to end the live because I'm nerve-wracked when I'm here. So I'm so excited to end this thing that I just end it and go, oh, we forgot to get the live poll. Then I have to try and figure out how to screenshot it and put it as a community post. And that's how you always see my lives polls. But last week, we actually remembered to end the poll and get the results on the live. So we're going to try for 2. We're going to go for a second week of doing this and see if it happens. But I was on Lisa J. Stocks. I was on her channel, and she was talking about the sacrifices that people do to get where they are today. And we've all done it. But I said, I want to do a live about that because a lot of times when people see you, they see you as you are when they meet you. They do not see everything in the background that got you to where you are. And an example that just popped into my head are YouTubers. We see some YouTubers get monetized in 30 days, right? Me, I've been on here for a year and a half, almost 2 years, and I'm working my way there. But when I got here, I did not know what I was doing. I was a guy sitting in my garage by myself with no YouTube creator experience. I've watched tons of YouTube videos, not knowing what those people did to produce those videos. I thought you just turn on your camera and you start talking. I did not know about a ring light preparation. I did not know about turning your phone off so that it doesn't ring during a live. I didn't know anything. And so I'm still learning, is my point. But the other point is people sacrifice to get where they are. And I'm going to try to look at the chat a little bit. Hi, Aaron. And Booby Goats is here. Thank you, Booby Goats. And so I'm looking over here at the chat, and Booby Goats is saying hi to Mike. So Mike's Adventure Sparks, yeah, he's out there on that ice. And so, and I moved south to Alabama so that I would not have any more snow and ice. I've lived in Vermont, I've lived in Maryland. I have no desire for more snow and ice as I get older. I just want good weather to ride my motorcycle more out of the year than just like from April till maybe November up in Maryland is our riding season up there. October, November. And so we'll go back to the topic because we're going to stay on track and end this on time. And I'm seeing 43% in the, I'm going to look at the poll from time to time, and at least I'll give partial results. No, we don't want to end the poll. There we go. See, I'm learning where to click on the poll. And that's my point, is I'm still learning this whole YouTube thing. And so I want everybody to put in the chat, which was my pinned comment, what sacrifices have you made to get to the financial freedom and maybe early retirement, that you had to do? Because we all did different things. Me, I got a PhD because it represented freedom to me. I had a toxic job that had me buried, had my career buried, and I did not know how to get out of that dead end job that I was in. I knew that my bosses were never going to get me out. Once they put me down in that hole, they were never, ever going to let me out of that hole because it prevented me, when they demoted me, it prevented me from applying for jobs at other courts. See? So I could never, ever leave them. You could liken it to, I guess, being chained in a dungeon. But anyway, I had to think of what way can I do, what power do I have to get myself out of this? And so a PhD, because I had 2 master's degrees when they did this to me. So a PhD was my answer to myself. I said, if I get a PhD, then maybe I can apply for other jobs in the federal government and get out of here. I did not think, oh, a PhD will get me jobs teaching where I will get income that will replace my federal government income. And then by the time I do all that, I will qualify for a pension and then I can quit this job. I didn't know when I started my PhD that that was going to happen. But the sacrifice of the hours, people say, well, you have a PhD. No, you don't just have a PhD. You go through a lot, and they don't just give them out. Everyone that I've talked to that has one, they talk about the heartbreak that you go through to get it. And I don't care what college you go to, there are setbacks where somebody is reviewing your work or your research and they say, sorry, you have to start over. Right? I'll tell you a quick story and then we're going to get right to the people that I really want to talk about. But this story, of course, popped right into my head. So I go through 2 years of classes before I take my final exam and start my research for my PhD. So I'm going through these 2 years of classes. And what they're telling me in every class is pick your topic now, right? That you're going to want to research later so that you can start gathering all the articles, the research articles for 2 years on your topic. So that's what I'm doing. Every class that I take, I relate it to this topic, which is federal employees something, right? I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. So I'm saving all this research, all these articles on federal employees, and downsizing, because that's what happened to me. So I really wanted to study how federal employees survive a downsizing. And so, saving all these articles, I get to my final face-to-face. We had 3 face-to-face weekends because I went to school online. So we get to our final face-to-face weekend, and it's just before you take your final exam. And, I'm doing this thing, and I've got my topic, and I've got all my articles, and the guy leading my face-to-face class says, perfect. He says, that's great. He says, you're doing everything right. Well, first of all, he said, when you take your final exam, everybody in this room is going to pass. So he said, we're not even going to talk about what happens if you don't pass. Well, guess who failed the final exam? That would be me. I had 3 questions to answer, and I failed all 3 questions. Some people fail 1 question, and they have 2 weeks to rewrite that 1 question, and hopefully it passes. I had 2 weeks to rewrite 3 questions that originally I had a month to write the answers to those 3. Well, in that 2 weeks, I wrote for 15 hours a day, every single day for 2 weeks. And I guess you can call that a sacrifice. But I did that and passed all 3 questions. So they don't tell you about that. However, I get past the 3 questions, which was, that was like, I've been in college all these years and now it's all over. Because if you don't pass those 3 questions, there's no research. Your PhD is done. You're done. And most of the people, when they don't pass those questions, they have to take that class again where they get the 3 questions and they have a month to respond. Most people never pass on the second try. And if you don't pass on the second try, you're done. The college moves you out, administrative kick out, and you're done. No PhD. So most people that fail don't get it. So I pass on my second try. I get to my mentor for my PhD research, and he says, Daryl, you can't use that topic that you have saved all this research for 2 years. The college does not allow people to research government employees. You're in the School of Business, you have to research private sector topics. So for 2 years, this college and all my professors, everybody told me that yes, you can do this topic on federal employees. I get past this exam and my mentor tells me, can't do it. Pick a new topic, find new research. So 2 years worth of research gone, right? Topic gone. We start over. And so these are the setbacks that we go through in life. And that's why I want people to put in the chat some of the setbacks that they've overcome to get to where they are. So it wasn't that I went to college, I got straight A's, I got a PhD. That wasn't it. That was not it. And so when Lisa was talking about the sacrifices that she made to get to where she is today with her stock portfolio, right? It made me think of all the sacrifices that the people on these YouTube channels that I watch and that I'm going to talk about have made to get to where they are. See, and I want to talk about this because some of us are YouTube creators here. And so one of the things that they told me, and I've never forgotten this, getting my PhD, they said, pick a topic. So when I had to re-pick a new topic, right, I only had a week or two to figure out something new and start doing the research. Okay, this wasn't, oh, we'll just, take months and months to do. No. Well, my first 2 topics, and I'm going from memory here, which is really bad at my age, but my first 2 topics that I picked, my mentor shot them down. He said, nah, can't do that. Nah, you can't do that. So I told my mentor, I said, you're shooting down my topics. I said, I'm in the public sector. I work for the federal government. I know nothing, because I've been there for some years now. I said, I know nothing about private sector and what I should be studying in the private sector. And so he gave me a topic. My mentor said, why don't you study employee-owned businesses? I didn't know anything about employee-owned businesses or ESOPs. I did not know anything about that, and that is now my passion in life, is employee-owned businesses. I think everyone should own their own business, or they should be an owner, a part owner in the business, not an employee. And I've seen that in my research. I've seen that in all the conferences that I've gone to, and that's my passion. But what they told me was, they said, if you're going to get a PhD, pick something you're passionate about, because when the going gets tough, you need to have the passion to finish. So many people do not finish their PhD. And I could be wrong, don't hold me to this percentage, but I believe it was only 16% of the people who start the process of their PhD finish. Because life happens, they lose their passion for the topic, they get busy, I was working 2 jobs and going to college. Because they demoted me, I needed a second job to make up that income that the federal government took away. So I worked 2 jobs all the way through my PhD. So that right there is a sacrifice, right? Again, working 2 jobs, 7 days a week, and going to college full time. So that's what I did, to get to where I am today. That's part of it. You know, Another part of it is that I'm blessed. I had to do a lot of, excuse me, not only time sacrifices, where I was up all night long doing research and writing because I am not the fastest typist in the world. Okay? You can't sit me down and have me write a paper in 2 hours. It may take me 12 hours to do that paper because it has to have perfect APA. Everything has to be right before you submit it to your mentor. A lot of times it gets kicked back. And I mean, all the way up until the end of my PhD, when I was writing the final research results, things were getting kicked back. And I had to write it again, and write it again, and write it again a third time. And you want to give up. You want to say, but you've come so far. You're close to the end, but you can't get over the finish line. And so there are 5 chapters that go into my dissertation. And I'm on chapter 3. And I knew when I passed chapter 3 that I was going to get it. And I cried because when I got past chapter 3, all my chapters had been rejected, and I had to write every chapter 3 times before my mentor would accept it. And then you have 2 other professors that look it over, so all 3 professors have to accept your work. And then the school has to review what they reviewed, and the school has to accept your work. So it isn't that you just write something and one person says okay and that's it. No, it's peer reviewed. So I get past chapter 3, and I know there's only 5 chapters. And when I passed chapter 3, I knew I could get past chapter 4 and 5. And then I was done. So those are the emotions that you go through, because I'm crying now because I cried then. But, oh, hi, I'm going to call you Daryl. I shouldn't call you Daryl, but I'm going to call you Daryl. Anyway. Oh, and Money Mommy Getter, I can't believe you're in my life. Thank you for coming and getting up so early, being out in LA. So we're not crying anymore here. We did it already because we made it past chapter 3 of my PhD dissertation. So everybody, please type fire, because I've got some friends here that I really want to get their pages out and their channels. Type fire in the chat as I'm going along here. And I am 23 minutes in, and I still haven't gotten to the people that I wanted to tell you all about. So we're going to zip right through these people, because I'm going to get to it today. One of the things I talked about last week was not having too many items to get through, because I never get through. If I have 5, I'll get through 3. So I said, well, we're going to cut that back. Nope, not me. 5 items, at least 5 channels, and there should be 10 channels. So we may have to do more lives on people who I think have sacrificed to get their channels to where they are today. So let me see here. I'm going to get to, oh, okay. So we're going to start with Lynn at Tumbleweeds on Fire. And the quote that I picked that's related to Lynn and Felicia at Tumbleweeds on Fire is, retire early, not to escape work, but to experience life. That's what they're doing. They retired early. I mean, way earlier than I did. And they are experiencing life. And their tumbleweeds overlander slash RV, right? But let's talk about the sacrifices that I see that they made. And I don't know the background story and all the details of their life, but I'm talking about what I've learned observing their channel. You know, Lynn did a lot of travel. Don't know where he traveled or what he did, but he did a lot of travel in business. And so he sacrificed time with family to build himself enough resources that he could retire early. Felicia, his wife, put in a lot of years so that she could retire early. See, I didn't do any of those. I didn't join the federal government. I'm trying to think, maybe I was 35. I was in my 30s. So excuse me. These are still tears from the PhD. They're finally coming out. Anyway, Felicia spent a lot of years in her organization, a lot of years. And so she retired fabulous, right? But they both sacrificed to retire early, and now they both get to enjoy life. So that's what I'm talking about. I don't have to know everyone's details, but I can see through my sacrifice what these people have sacrificed. Part of it is that I used to travel like Lynn. I used to travel on business, and it's a lot. You know, airplanes, hotels, other countries, it's a lot. And so you miss time with family. So some of the things that you can do to make sacrifices to get to where you want to be is you want to not have lifestyle inflation. These are some of the sacrifices that I did, but I'm just passing these along as things that you can do to get to where you want to be financially or with your YouTube channel or whatever is important in your life, right? So I'm going to look over and look and see. Serene, let me see. It's Serene in the Makings. There you go. Thank you for typing fire and putting that in the chat. I think this is my first time seeing Serene in the Makings. I think so. I'm not sure, so I don't want to say something wrong. Oh, thank you, Rhonda. Yeah, my PhD was a miracle. I mean, the hoops that I went through, you know, but people say, oh, he's a doctor. You know, like, it was just nothing. Only 2% of people have a PhD. And if you're a person of color, it's a very much smaller percentage than 2%. So I just want to put that out there. So let's talk about sacrificing ego purchases, such as cars or upgrades, you know, to impress people that, you know, you have like coworkers. You know, all of your coworkers are driving brand new cars. Why aren't you driving a brand new car? You're in the same pay grade as them. Well, these are the sacrifices that people make for their future. And this is what Lisa J. Stocks brought me into thinking about this, is she's made sacrifices not only for herself, but for her daughter. She's already investing for her teenage daughter. How many of us are investing already for our teenage children and for me, my grandchildren? So I am trying, and I still don't have my grandchildren on board. So it's sort of hard that they're young adults and I don't have them on board with investing. So you do the best you can. When they are ready to invest, I will be right there alongside them, matching whatever contributions my grandchildren put into their investments. That's what I can do today. I can match them dollar for dollar, if not $5 for every $1 that they put into their investments. That's my grandpa story for the day. You sacrifice convenience, right? That's one of the things that I had to sacrifice. You know, when you're working 2 jobs and going to college full time, you don't have time to go out and play. See, I was in a motorcycle club and we want to go away for the weekend and raise money for charity. And some weekends I could go, but other times I had to say, no, I'm going to stay and work on my PhD. And so that was one of the reasons. Another side trip here. We got to get back to this, my list, because there's other channels that I want to talk about. One of the reasons that I got out of the motorcycle club was I was getting close to finishing my PhD. And I went to my chapter in this motorcycle club and I said, I need a leave of absence so that I can focus on finishing my PhD. And my motorcycle chapter said no. And I couldn't believe it. I said, you guys aren't supportive of somebody trying to get a better education? And it was personal. There was some personal, politics going on at the time in the chapter. And so it was just personal. And they said, no, we all voted you can't have a leave of absence. If you don't show up at all these rides, then you're going to be penalized. And I said, well, my PhD is more important than riding in this motorcycle club, so I quit the club. And that was one of a few reasons why I quit the club, because they did not support my education. And I thought that we were a club that supported education. We gave away college scholarship money to young African Americans going to college. But yet we have someone in the club trying to get an education, and they said no. So that ended my motorcycle club riding career. And I will never join another motorcycle club. I ride with friends. We raise money for charity. That's it. That's the end of me and motorcycle clubs and gangs, that kind of thing. So we talked about sacrificing convenience, right? So you're cooking at home, right? You're doing your own repairs. You're cutting back on the trips to Taco Bell, or you're cutting back on the trips to Starbucks, whatever it is for you. For me, I had already started cutting back years before. See, when they demoted me and took 30% of my income, I went back to beans and rice, because I had a condo to pay for, I had a car to pay for, I had a motorcycle to pay for, and I had a rental duplex. And I said, I'm not losing all of this because somebody wants me to fail. I'm not doing it. And so I cut back personally on my lifestyle to keep those rental properties. Well, I only had one rental property at the time, but now I have more rental properties. But because I cut back on convenience, I was able to succeed later. Social comfort. See, Tiger and Felicia gave up social comfort. They could have had a big old car. They have a small car that gets them where they need to go. Not sure what kind of car it is, Tiger and Felicia, but they have a small car. And it saves on gas. I mean, it's a very efficient car. So, yeah, so it's crazy that they were not supportive of my motorcycle club, but that's life. And that's politics within a motorcycle club organization. Those are the politics under the hood. So let's talk about time, right? We sacrifice a lot of time to be successful. And I'll talk about me currently, because currently my rentals lost a lot of money. We had freezing weather down here and pipes broke last month. And I had to replace a couple of water heaters. And everything's more expensive nowadays than they were 5 or 6 years ago. So water heaters, much more expensive. Point is, I lost a lot of money last month on my rentals. Well, I'm teaching 6 classes at the moment that just barely made up for all the money that I lost in the rentals last month. And so that will be in my end of month video that y'all have to watch. So that, because when you give up time, you do that for your side hustles. And right now, my teaching income is my side hustle. YouTube is a side hustle, but not money for me. It will be money to go to the homeless. So, but people do YouTube as a side hustle to help them and augment their income. I do teaching to augment my income, but it's variable income. So it may be good for 2 months, but then it'll drop off. So I cannot rely on my teaching income to back up rental property losses. My rental property income is variable. Some months it's good, other months, like last month, very bad. So my point is that when you're doing a side hustle, like YouTube, it's variable income. Some months are up, some months are down. That's what I hear from different people who have YouTube income. And we're all trying to get monetized so that we can have YouTube income. But what we don't realize is what people sacrificed to get the YouTube income. The hours that they spent editing their videos. The hours that they spent going to amusement parks. I was just watching a YouTube channel that I'm really trying to support. And they were at these different Disneyland amusement parks, right? And what I cannot believe, they had a timer up on the screen. I know I'm taking a side trip. Everybody knows. Okay. So they have this timer up on the screen showing how long they waited in line to get on a ride at Disneyland. Couldn't believe it. I've never been to Disneyland. I don't know that I could stand for that long in a line. Even though you're inching forward, I still don't know if I could stand for that long. I'm not a good stander. I tend to tip over and pass out because I lock my knees and that's it. So anyway, so you give up time, right? You sacrifice time in learning. And this is directly connected to Lisa, is she studied the stock market and she studies stocks and trends to learn how to do what she does in her investing. I had to study how to get rental properties out of state. It's called long distance investing. A lot of people will not do long distance investing, but when you live in a high cost of living area, sometimes you have to take your money and put it where it makes sense. Like I can't afford a rental property in Maryland, in DC. Those are $1 million properties. I can't afford that kind of stuff. So where did I invest? Alabama. I lived in Maryland and invested in Alabama because I knew that someday I would retire to Alabama. And I said, then the rentals will be closer to me, even though I don't manage them. So my next one is Julie. And Julie is here from Happy on Monday, right? And Julie, I made sure that I wore my Happy on Monday t-shirt when I was at the Harley dealership the other day working on my motorcycle, because I bought that Happy on Monday t-shirt to help charity, because that's where all of the proceeds of her merch go to charity. And so I bought that t-shirt to ride on my motorcycle. So you guys will see it a lot during the motorcycle riding season of 2026. And so Julie at Happy on Monday, very successful YouTube channel, and she's successful, and she was mentioning this last week in her video, that she had the watch hours before she had the subscribers. Most of us, as she mentioned, have the subscribers and have to get the watch hours. People love Julie. They just love watching her. And so my quote for Julie's channel is, every dollar you invest buys a piece of your future back. And that's because when Julie was planning to retire early, she sacrificed to pay off her home. She wanted to retire with a paid off home to lower her expenses in retirement. Now, YouTube augments her retirement investments. She retired with a modest income, but she had a paid off home. All of those are things other people can follow and other people can do. You don't have to have $1 million to retire early. You can retire early with a paid off home. And she sacrificed. And she talks about that on her channel. She sacrificed to do that. So that was Julie. Now we have Kathy at the Cronson family. And I was just sending her a comment on her video because Kathy does Transfer Tuesdays. Kathy is a mom in her 30s. Her and her husband are in their 30s. And I hope I don't get this wrong, but their daughter is maybe 3 now. But Kathy wants to be a stay-at-home mom. So she's trying to get monetized on YouTube just as a way to augment their savings so that they do not have to dip into the amount of money that they've saved so that she can become a stay-at-home mom. See, she's giving up time away from her daughter. That's a sacrifice right now to save, pay off debt. I mean, it's a massive amount of money that they have saved in their 30s. I could not have dreamed, okay? I could not have dreamed of having the kind of money that these two 30-year-olds have. And they didn't just spend it. They could do all these expensive things. No. She shops at the thrift store for her and her daughter. And she talks about how much she spends every week, which puts me to shame. Okay, I'm trying to spend less, and you guys will see that in my end of month video. Kathy puts me to shame on how little she spends. And her husband, they teach me. They buy in bulk, right? When they're buying food to save money. I buy in bulk from Sam's Club to save money. They do Transfer Tuesday. It took me a long time to get into Transfer Tuesday, but now I'm right along with Kathy doing Transfer Tuesday. And so the quote that I have for Kathy, now that's Kathy at the Cronson family. And I'm pretty sure that I put all of these channels that I'm talking about today in the description. So you can go and check out their channel. Please support these folks. So the quote that I have for Kathy and her husband and daughter is, "Comfort keeps you average. Sacrifice builds freedom." Kathy and her husband are sacrificing. I mean, they are paying off massive amounts of debt. They are saving and investing massive amounts of money so that they have an emergency fund buffer that should Kathy stay home with their daughter and their husband is their sole income, if he loses his job, they have a massive emergency fund. They are not just willy-nilly, I'll just quit my job and stay home. No. So because they're building this massive emergency fund, and when I'm going to go back to Julie, who has an emergency fund that you guys just will not believe. Okay? I'm not even going to tell you how many years she has saved up that she would need in case of a market crash. These are the people I watch because I don't have that. I don't have a massive emergency fund. I am starting to do it now because of the people that I watch on YouTube and learn from. Kathy and Julie have this massive cash buffer emergency fund, which I'm at the very beginning of building. So I've told you guys about a few channels. So one of the things that people think about is when we are frugal, like Kathy and I, when we are frugal, people think it's deprivation. And it's really not. I mean, Kathy takes her daughter to the library and they get free books from the library. That's not deprivation. And she's teaching her daughter to read early so that her daughter can be successful in life. They're putting money away for their daughter's college. It's not deprivation. It's living an intentional life. That's what we're doing. And that's what I see on a lot of these channels that I watch. We'll take Lynn and Felicia, right? Lynn and Felicia, they travel intentionally. That's what they do. And they are living an intentional life where they go to these beautiful places and have beautiful experiences. And that's what we're doing in early retirement, which is why I want everyone to retire early so that you can enjoy life while you have your health. Please do not wait until you're 70 years old and you're walking around with a walker to get on the cruise ship to travel around the world. Don't do that. This is not about deprivation. I travel the country, and I'll be doing this year in my car. It's less expensive than other ways of me going out and renting a car and flying, and so I don't know. But traveling around the country in my car costs me very little on gas. And I get hotel points, so I get a free night every few nights, that I'm staying in these hotels. And of course, again, me being frugal, the hotels that I choose have free breakfast and 24-hour coffee. So y'all know this coffee cup stays full for free when I travel the country. That's me and my frugal way that I roll. Oh, hi, Lala. I'm just seeing that Mrs. G, your favorite auntie, and Lala are in the chat. So I wanted to make sure that I said hi. Sometimes I get really, and Lala says drink your water, because Lala will show you how to juice and how to exercise, and she just got a rebounder so she can go rebounding with Cheryl. Look at those two channels. And I'm just so, what do they call it? Frugal. I call it cheap, but whatever. Everybody, please answer the poll question that I have in here, because we're at 47 minutes, meaning we got 13 minutes to finish this up. And to end the poll, give you guys the poll results before I finish the live, which is this is only my second week of being actually able to do this. So we're talking sacrifice versus deprivation. So to live an intentional life and sacrifice for your future, whatever your future is, right? Whether it's retiring early. Now, Kathy and her husband, they have very high incomes. Not everyone has a high income. That's what we call that in the financial world is a big shovel, right? You have a big shovel so you could pay off debt, right? Well, sometimes I have a big shovel. Sometimes I don't have a big shovel. I have learned to work through my debts and my investments, whether I have a little shovel or a big shovel. So you do not have to have a big shovel. Julie did not have a big shovel. She just sacrificed and paid off her house. She drives a car that's older, I think, than my car. And I'm keeping my car until the wheels fall off. And Julie has mentioned that. We're keeping our cars as long as possible. Kathy drives a Prius, I believe, that's very good on gas. It's an intentional life, is what I'm trying to share with everyone. Live an intentional life that works for you and your family. Don't follow the Joneses and whatever the Joneses do, and you think that this is nice because the Joneses have it and you don't. And trying to keep up with the Joneses will keep you broke. So don't do that. I don't keep up with the Joneses, right? I do what works best for me. And sometimes that means taking a step back. It's not always progress forward. I am moving rental properties from one financial institution to another financial institution. And as interest rates drop, I want to see my payments go down. However, I just watched my payments go up by $75 a month to move my property from one institution to another financial institution. And you might say, that's not very smart. For me, it is. It's intentional to simplify my financial life. And this is a long-term 5-year, 10-year process, to simplify my financial life. It's not going to be take the easy road. None of us who have sacrificed to get where we are took the easy road. And so don't look at people like Kathy and her husband who will retire early and someday they'll be millionaires because of what they've invested so far at such a young age. It's called Coast Fire, where they could retire in their 30s and not invest another penny and still become millionaires by the time they reach full retirement age. That's Coast Fire. They're there. But they are so frugal that they will continue to live on less than what they make. And they will continue to invest. So it's not that people put money into the stock market and then just stop. None of us who retire just stop. We don't. We continue doing what got us here. We continue living on less. We continue living below our means. Somebody said, dance with the woman that brought you to the dance, right? So being frugal got me to where I am today, that I can donate all my YouTube proceeds to charity. See, I don't need them to augment my teaching income, my rental income, and now you guys see that I'm getting Social Security, although I won't get it in March, but I got my very first Social Security check in February. So now, now Social Security offsets my teaching income. So someday I could stop teaching or just go down to 2 colleges or 1 college in the future. So teaching 6 classes today, I need the money, right? Thank goodness I was given 6 classes because that's just random, how many classes you're given. But I'm blessed that I was given 6 classes because my money went down in my rental properties. And then Social Security doesn't come in March. But maybe I won't have very many classes in April, but I'll have that Social Security check. So have multiple streams of income. Do not rely on just YouTube income. Money Mommy Getter writes books. So she has book income. She's a coach for other people on self-publishing. She has YouTube income. Have multiple streams of income. I think she has a pension. I'm not sure. I think she's a retired government employee, but I'm not sure about the pension part. But my point is, have multiple streams of income. And this is not all about financial. It's also about your health. And so because I'm a financial channel, I've talked all about financial successes and what we sacrifice for our financial success, but also what we sacrifice for our health. Don't get to be early retired and have bad health. You want to be able to enjoy life. So I just went to the doctor. I'm happy to report that my A1C is down from where it was 3 months ago. And I am determined to get out and exercise more. I mean, starting now, starting today, after this live, I'm going to get out and walk up and down the road. And I live on this country road, so there's not many houses and stuff out here. But I am going to get out after this live and start walking. Because what good is having financial freedom if you don't have your health? So I just wanted to mention that as a sidebar because I said I was going to mention it, and then I said, no, Daryl, you'll go off on this whole topic of health is wealth, But I did want to report that my A1C is better, which surprised me. I thought it was worse, and I thought my doctor was going to put me on medication, which I have had pre-diabetes, and it's getting worse over the years, for 16 years and not been on medication yet. Because every time my A1C starts to creep up, I go out and I exercise and I change my diet. I do what the doctors tell me to do for 16 years. They said, we can't believe that somebody actually follows and does what we tell them to do. Well, that's what I've learned in my life. Do what you're told to do, and you'll have the success of the people who did that. And so, one of my quick side stories that I have to tell is I was talking earlier about Lisa learning the stock market and educating herself on the stock market. Well, I educated myself on real estate. And I watched the Bigger Pockets podcast. Bigger Pockets is still a website out there, but it's just not the same as it was back in the day, right? When I started watching it. But they had these super successful people. Every episode were these people who bought millions of dollars of real estate in their 20s, right? Just, I mean, unbelievably successful people, flipping houses and doing this deal and doing that deal. Well, that wasn't me. But what I learned from watching all these super successful people, right, were little tips and little tricks. One of them was that rather than pay for mailers, you guys all get these things in the mail saying, hey, I want to buy your house. I want to buy your house. Those things are expensive. And most people just throw them away. But a lot of people get a lot of deals from those, right? They're able to buy houses at 50% the cost because the owner is in some kind of bad situation and needs to get out. Well, I didn't have the money for any of that. What I heard on one of these episodes that I watched was call all the property management companies wherever you want to invest and ask them if any of the owners of their properties want to sell their properties. Because you can find tired landlords who are in their 70s, in their 80s, and they just want to get out. They just want to sell their properties. I may be a tired landlord in my 70s and 80s and just want to sell my real estate and just take the money. But I did that. It cost me nothing to call all of the property management companies and say, do you have anybody who wants to sell their property? And that's how I got my second property. I did it for free because I got educated that somebody else had done that. So I just wanted to tell everybody that story of how I got my second real estate property. And so I talked about Lisa J. Stocks earlier in her channel that really inspired this whole live. And my quote that's related to Lisa J. Stocks is, discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now. See, Lisa could spend her money today, or she could invest her money for her future and for her daughter's future. See, so she's choosing what she wants most, which is to take care of her daughter. And that's what she's doing. Everyone has their priorities. I have my priorities. I have grandchildren that I hope I can educate to build wealth. Because we do not want to pass on poverty from generation to generation to generation. We came out of poverty. We don't need to pass that on. We need to educate our families so that we all come up out of poverty. So everybody rises. So I only have 1 minute left. Let's do poll results. We're actually doing this 2 weeks in a row. Unbelievable. Progress, not perfection. So, what is the hardest sacrifice for you right now? A, cutting lifestyle spending. B, saying no to friends and family. C, delaying upgrades. And D, staying consistent. And the winner is cutting lifestyle expenses. 35% said that that's where the hardest sacrifice is for them right now. And I tell you, it is for me too. You guys are going to see this in my end of month video about my monthly expenses. My motorcycle is my lifestyle expense. And so it bit me this month. And my point is, I'm not perfect. I'm doing the best I can do. And all I can do is ask all of you out there to do the best you can do. Whatever your priorities are, stay with those priorities for your future. But I really hope everyone retires early, however that looks for you. Whether you do coast fire, lean fire, fat fire, if you've got more money than you could ever spend, that's good. But you do not need a lot of money to retire. I retired with $300,000 in my investments. It just happened. But I had that side hustle. And I still have side hustles today, right? One income stream replaces another income stream that replaces another income stream. And that's just how I do it. Other people don't do it that way, but that's what I do. And so we are 1 minute over. So I hope that everyone, let me see. I had a quick question from Tiger who says, he has a question, do you have a trailer for your bike? I do not have a trailer. I can rent a U-Haul motorcycle trailer for my motorcycle, and I have a car. I bought, okay, everybody listen to my little side trip story, which we're going over our time. I bought a 6-cylinder Honda Accord. Now, I've owned them before, but I ended up in a 4-cylinder Civic before this one. But anyway, I had to go back to the 6-cylinder Honda Accord because I put a trailer hitch on my Honda Accord so that I can tow my motorcycle. I bought the car for the motorcycle. There you have it, okay? But I love my car. I do. I love the Honda Accords. Another reason that I buy a Honda Accord, which they don't make 2 doors anymore, but they have a premium sound system. And I'm really big on music and sound. So I will always buy a car that has a premium sound system. I don't care what kind of car it is. I want the best sound system that you could put in this car. Otherwise, I'm not buying the car. This car had the premium sound system, and I could put a trailer hitch on it, which I had on prior Honda Accords. I could put a trailer hitch on it to tow my motorcycle. So my lifestyle is very intentional, very intentional. And I've gone over my time, which for some reason I just keep doing this. But we did get to the poll results. So I want to thank everyone for coming. And I want to end this as close to the hour as possible so that we can all get on with our day. And that's why my lives are supposed to be 1 hour, is so that we can all get on with our day. Please go out there, help somebody, do something kind for somebody, because kindness wins. And a lot of the people that I follow are very kind, very kind. Fairbrick Studio, Wayne, Andy, very kind people. Rhonda, very kind. A lot of you that are in my chat, very kind people. And what do we say here on YouTube? My vibe attracts my tribe. It took me a long time to really internalize that. But the people that come and support my channel and that come and support my live, we all have that vibe of kindness. And so that I love, that I love. We're all trying to help someone else other than ourselves. And I love that. I love that. So thank you all so much. Remember, spend less, invest the rest. This is Fire with Dr. Ninja Turtle, who is the Robin Hood of YouTube. I intend to take my AdSense money and give it to the less fortunate. That's all I want to do. I don't want memberships. I don't want anybody's money from YouTube. I want the advertisers' money. I have this personal, vendetta, I guess, against advertisers where I want their money to help the homeless. While they're paying creators, let them do some good in the world. Let them do some good in the world, and it's going to go through me. So thank you all for watching, and I hope that everyone figures out what to sacrifice for their financial future and for them to retire early. Thank you all. I will see you all next week, and we'll have a whole different topic. Don't know what that is, but hopefully I can get Tiger on here maybe next week. Maybe. We'll see if I can't get Tiger and Felicia on here. Okay, talk to you all later. Have a great day. And thank you for putting fire in the chat so that we get to your channels. Andy, I'm waiting for the next battle. Okay, talk to y'all later. Bye.